Motivation Show. This week featuring The Journey.
Everyone has a journey, and here's my journey. Everything you go through leads you to the future, and how you process the good and the bad makes a big difference in the quality of your life. You have to go through your journey and add up your skills. Then you fine-tune your passion. Finding that one thing that you really love to do, and figuring out if you're good at it. And if you are, you can be great at it, because your passion drives you towards a better life. For many years, I put off what I love to do. One is to inspire people, and the other is music. Songwriting. My history is music, art, the things that I love to do, but I never really put myself out there. Now that I'm older, children are grown, grandchildren, we're empty nesters. With COVID on the rise, it really made me reset my life. It made me realize the time is now. Let me ask you a question. If someone said to you, tomorrow would be your last day, would you change anything? Or would you stay the same? Would you bloom like a flower, or would you go into a shell? My history tells me that life is very beautiful. I was blessed. I had two parents that stayed together, a brother and sister that were gems. I couldn't have had a better family. I have nothing to complain about. And when I did complain, I never really felt good about it. So what's my journey? And where do I start? Well, just like you, let's start at the beginning. 1959, April 11th, was a very good day for me. When I was born, the youngest of three, the surprise that they weren't expecting, I was embraced by a strong village, a family who gave us a lot of love. Aunts and uncles, cousins, and of course my brother and sister. Two of my biggest influences. I couldn't be prouder of them. They molded me. So I grew up in Philadelphia in the 60s. Beautiful place. Beautiful place to be raised by the village of the communities in Philadelphia, where people had the same standards. You did something wrong, your neighbor would beat you. Then you got home, your mom would beat you. And then when your dad got home, he beat you. But it wasn't about the beating, it was about the consistency of the standard. The standards were the same amongst neighbors, amongst that World War II generation that saved the world. The respect I had for them and those before them is limitless. Back then, you didn't want to shame your parents. You didn't want to embarrass them. They held you to a higher standard, as I do my children. But growing up, all the things that people said to me, did for me, in all the ways they inspired me, led me to be who I am today. And that's why, to those who get the most, you're required to give it back tenfold. I feel very inspired at this point in my life to do more. Maybe there is no tomorrow. And quiet as it's kept, I should have lived that way all my life. I put off things, and at around 50 years old, I wrote a bucket list. I'm going to write my books. I'm going to finish recording my music. I'm going to paint, do art, do my clothing line, do a radio show, get back into radio. I worked in radio in the 80s. Nightclub DJ for 20 years in the 80s and the 90s. And everything's automated today. It's so easy. You can just do it right online. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. Which led me to today. This is our premiere show. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just me talking to you and explaining who I am and where I came from and why it's important to find your one thing. As you go through things in life, you realize that you're in a place where you can find yourself in a place where you're not happy, whether it's the relationship, the job, your friendships. And at around 50, I started to hit the delete button. I said, it's time for me to get rid of some of this stuff that's causing me pain. And I started saying it to others. And I noticed the expression on people's faces when I said I would hit the delete button, whether it's a friend or a foe. Doesn't matter. If you're not good bringing positive energy to my life, I can't be around you because it diminishes my value. It drains me of my positivity. So you start to realize that when you get away from that, it actually feels good. It actually feels great. Then I realized something. You know, you got to find your happy place. Where is your happy place? Is it in your mind? Is it at church? Is it with your friends? Is it with your family? Nothing makes me happier than being around my children and grandchildren and all my family. It makes you feel good. And I think it's a 60 thing, you know, when you get over or 50 or 60 and you start becoming a senior citizen, you start to realize, you know, this is pretty much all that really matters. It has all the value right there. But I also realize I have to have a happy place for me and only me. And I'll ride to the beach. And I'll sit there and I'll watch the water and the boats go by. And I'll watch the birds, people fishing, and just enjoying a peaceful day. That's what makes me feel rejuvenated. It cleanses my soul. It brings me back to who I'm really, in a place where I'm really supposed to be. So, once you find your passion, it's everything you need. And everything works around that. Because you make everything work around that. You don't put off anything because someone doesn't like this or they don't like that. You have to make you happy first. And only then can you satisfy anyone else. These are simple tools. It's not difficult. I realized something at around 35 years old. You know, life is simple. People make it difficult. Because we add stuff. And we put stuff in the way where it doesn't belong. And in order to stay focused, you have to realize where your value is. One of the hardest things you'll ever do is maintain self-control. When times are hard, staying cool. When you're impatient, waiting. Waiting for that moment, that special time when your spirit tells you, go. Now's the time, Frank. Go. Don't wait. Go. Here's your window of opportunity. Have at it. Don't wait. And if you don't do that, you'll miss your turn. And you don't know if it's going to come back around again. Clocks are guaranteed to turn, but your life isn't. You know, people used to say, well, when you're trying to do something and you can't do it and someone else can, they'll say, don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, you got to flip that thing. You have to realize, you know what? I started saying, don't hate the player, learn the game. The game is the game. Everything around you creates that game. You just have to fit in and navigate your way around it until you get to where you feel happy. So that's what I find is very important. People always say, well, why is this happening to me? Well, why not? Why is it happening to you? Why did it happen to that other person or that other person over there? It's happening to you because you are the example. You're the example for other people. You're the one that people will look and say, wow, I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm going to do A, B, and C. And someday, someone else will be the example for you. That's kind of how it works. My aunt used to say, everyone gets a turn. I have all these sayings from people that said very inspiring things to me, but they were very simple. Very simple. Do unto others. Treat yourself first. It's very important. So, you have to learn to live well, laugh more, and love better. Without fear. So in closing, if you're a leader, a caring person, a loving person that has integrity, morality, you can become whole. And don't beat yourself up about the past. That's why it's called the past and not the present. Because everyone deserves a second chance at life, a good life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe on YouTube. And I'll see you here Sundays. Take care.